A quick disclaimer before we begin. Everything discussed in this episode reflects our personal opinions and experiences as educators. Always use your professional judgment and follow your organization's policies when evaluating and using AI tools. Welcome to Classroom to Code. I'm Nadia.
And I'm Noni.
We are two teacher moms in two different countries who somehow found ourselves building apps, learning AI, joining a Replit Build-a-thon, and realizing that maybe we were never as far from tech as we thought.
Because before we ever called ourselves builders, we were teachers. We were already adapting, troubleshooting, differentiating, testing, fixing, and trying again.
This podcast is about what happens when teachers stop waiting for someone else to build the thing that they need and start asking, can I make this myself?
We'll talk about the messy parts, the scary parts, and the what am I even doing parts. And the moments where something finally works and you think, wait, I actually built that?
We'll talk about AI literacy, education, app building, design mistakes, accidental wins, motherhood, and what it really looks like to go from an idea in your head to something real.
And if you're listening and thinking, I'm not technical enough, I'm too late, or people like me don't build things like this, then honestly, this is the show for you.
Because we thought that too.
And we were wrong.
Welcome back to Classroom to Code. Today we're talking about designing like a teacher. And honestly, this is one of those topics where the more I think about it, the more I realize teachers have been designers this whole time. We don't always call it instructional design, but honestly, it's what we're doing every day. We are designing lessons, activities, we do visuals, routines, classroom systems, and we're all instructional designers because we're designing learning experiences. We're thinking about the way that the kids are going to use their attention, how they're going to access things, what might confuse them, and what might motivate them. And this is a huge part of designing for apps and technology as well. So before we talk about the tools that we use, and all the things that help us build and design, we want to talk a little bit about our backgrounds in design.
So I myself was a designer. I studied fashion design and I designed for a little while, and then I moved on to doing graphic design, which is what we did mostly in our fashion design course. And then I just did graphic design as a part-time thing and as a hobby, but it's what I used to integrated it into education when I became a teacher, using graphic design to make resources for teachers. And then when Replit came along, I've used it in there as well.
Yeah, I never really thought of myself as a designer. It's interesting that you were in fashion and all of that. It just kind of tells me that you have a knack for visuals. And I never really thought of myself as, somebody who does design. But now that I look back at it, I'm an incredibly visual person. And I think that's what drew me to deaf education, visuals are the primary way that deaf
Yeah.
children access the world, whether it's sign language or the way that you're designing in a classroom. There's a lot of spatial and visual information. And so what happened to me kind of over time is I learned to be deliberate about the way that I design spaces and the way that I design visuals for my students so that they learn the best. But then when I did my doctorate, I also earned a certificate in instructional design and best practices on how to design for learning. So today's episode, we're going to talk about what it means to design like a teacher and why it's important, and then also how tools that we use let us turn classrooms into, or classroom instincts, teacher instincts, into real products, resources, and how we use it for our apps as well. Today, we're also going to build live. Noni has made some really cool stuff using some of the tools that we have at our disposal. And she also is well versed in Canva and Replit Canvas. And so we're going to do a live build today. And if you are tuning in through audio, I definitely recommend also checking out the video version of this because we'll be talking about a lot of really great visuals that you can use and the tools that make it possible. So I'm going to let Noni explain a little bit about what Replit Canvas is.
So Replit Canvas is there's multiple things that you can do with the canvas. You can build, so there's different artifacts that you can build on Replit. So you can build a website, mobile, slides, animations, and Canvas can open them all up for you to have see on one canvas, which we'll have a look at later. And then you can use that canvas to edit things, specific things that you want. That's what I use it for. So one thing that teachers are really need to focus on is visuals, for all kinds of learners, especially like with children with special needs. Visuals comes in handy a lot. So what I've done is I've taken built a website, an interactive tool for children using visuals in different kinds of ways, to help with their learning. So shall we take a look at what I've built?
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about what you've done to build and how you've built it. I also just want to do full disclosure. I have not used Replit Canvas. I know that some of my projects have started on Canvas, but I have not. It's kind of in my to-do list of things to learn. So I'm really excited for today's episode and for you to show us what it actually looks like. So you can go ahead and take it away.
Okay, let's share my screen. I'll just show you the interactive website that I've built. Share screen. Okay, so it's currently a work in progress, but I wanted to build a interactive tool, and it only started with a science topic, and I added in maths and writing later. These are still in work in progress, but I'll show you what I did with the science one. So I've got a few topics here. Still playing around with the color and everything, but I'll show you the plants. Let's look at the plants. So this is like a 3D image, but we can also do a 2D image. I wasn't too happy with this one, but I did ask Replit Agent to do a 3D image, and I wasn't really happy with the image that it came up with. So this flower is something that I took from Canva. Where is it? Here you go. This one, I took it from Canva, downloaded it as a PNG, and then I just uploaded it here using my plus sign upload file. And then I asked Canva to label all the different parts, and I gave the names to the sorry, not Canva. I asked Replit to label all of the parts of the plant, and it did it, but not so well. I don't have the initial thing it came up with. So I asked it to let me label or highlight the specific parts. And then it created it on the canvas. It created me a way to edit a region editor on Canvas. Let's see if I've got it here. So this is the canvas. And usually if you have more artifacts, if you have a mobile, it'll be open up here, mobile app or slides. This is the region editor for the flower. And I was able to click on whatever part I wanted to highlight, and I could just select it. And then you could change it. This one was a bit more different than the skeleton one. I'll show you the skeleton one in a moment. I could select the parts it wanted me to, that I wanted to label. Just choose whichever label you wanted and then select it. And that's done for you.
So
It's
it's
quite cool
super
because
customizable. If I wanted to make this on one of my apps, what would I tell it? Make me a region editor for this, or
yeah. So this is what I'll show you in a moment. All I did was ask it to make me a region editor. Well, I didn't say region editor initially. I read it here. I didn't know it was called a region editor.
Okay, yeah.
I found that out later. I just asked it to I said I don't like the areas that you've labeled, so can I select the areas myself? And then it made the region editor by itself on the canvas. Let's show you the skeleton one. And this one was slightly different. So I'll just show you this one.
I saw this one, I think, on your X, and I thought it was so cool. I was like, I don't even know how to start with this level of interactivity, but okay.
Yeah. So I will at some point add in an image of what it initially was. I wasn't too happy with the skeleton it came up with, so I took it from Canva. Again, this asset, downloaded it as a PNG with a transparent background, put it into Replit, and I asked it to label the different parts again, but it labeled it in a way where it was just big blocks of the different parts
Mm.
of the body, like huge blocks, and it wasn't specific. So I told Canva that I wanted a region editor just like the plant. And then it created this cat on the canvas, not this one. Oh, I don't know where it's gone now. Well, this was another one that I did for the organs, but I don't know where this one's gone. We'll make one.
Mhm.
So it let me highlight each specific part. This was different than the plants one. What I can do is ask agent, can I have a region editor for the human skeleton?
I love how you talk to it like it's almost like a text message, you know, like it's so
Yeah.
beautiful. You don't have to like construct a prompt for what you want. It was just like the way that you would speak. That's really cool. And I think that's such a big perk of using a tool like Canva, whereas like for a lot of other things, you have to really make sure you have the right prompt before you input. This is really just kind of you're using your vernacular, the way that you talk.
Yeah, quite informal as well. I mean, like I said before, I had asked it to let me highlight different parts of my skeleton or my human body, or let me place, for this one, I asked it to let me place the different organs wherever I want, and it made me the region editor by itself. I didn't even know it was called region editor.
And
I
was
actually didn't know that.
that asset you just showed, organs, and it looks really
Hmm.
detailed. Was that also taken from Canva, or is that something that was, yeah,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah. I didn't like the original image that it came up with, so I wanted to use my own specifically for the children that I teach, the different body parts that we use. Right now it's like it looks a bit muddled on here, but I did use it to place them in the right places, um quite specific to my class's learning. And then all you have to do is copy the codes down here and give it to the agent, and the agent will apply it. So same with the plant and the skeleton. When you've placed or highlighted each section, you copy a SVG code and paste it into um you paste it and send it to the agent, and he'll place all the correct parts, label all the correct parts.
Can you explain
So
that again? It was so you said the SVG code. How do you do that?
so if I can just get this on, it's not working. But I'll show you with I'll show you with the flower.
Mm-hmm.
Let's bring it up here. So with the flower, I wanted to highlight the different sections. So I did that. So I've highlighted the anther. Let's see if I can move this. And then here you should have copy code. These are all the codes for the
Oh.
places that they are positioned in, the sections that you've highlighted. And you just copy the code and then paste it into here. So let's paste it. So it'll paste the entire code. I'm not going to send this to the agent right now because I've already done it, but you
Mhm.
paste it into here, and then the agent will place all of these labels in the correct section. Whichever sections you wanted to highlight, it'll do that for you.
I will say this reminds me of something I did when I was creating a video game. I was creating a video game with 3D assets that I had imported. And what I did is I had students who were sitting in a classroom, and the way that it looked was so funny. Originally, it had just kind of placed them in the center, and one kid was floating, one kid was like going through the desk, another kid was facing a different direction. And I told Replit, actually, I said, can you make me a way that I can move them, manipulate them myself in the 3D environment. And it also worked in the 3D. And what it did is it gave me a little box when I said, okay, I'm like ready to lock them in this location. I copied
Mm-hmm.
it and put it into the editor as well. So I guess you're doing it in a 2D format, but this also works in 3D. And Replit will actually design for you the way that you can communicate where you want certain things. So that's pretty cool. It's very like visual and spatial, which I love.
Yeah. Yeah, that's was that also on Replit?
Yeah, yeah. So I made video games on Replit, and it was actually amazing the way that I was able to create a 3D video game and customize, the location of certain assets with Replit's editor that it made for me based on what I needed.
So cool.
Mhm.
Um, so whilst we're waiting, because you mentioned 3D, I'll just show you a water cycle I created. And I created when I first gave the prompt to agent to make a water cycle, so I can explain to my class what water cycle is. A 3D simulation I asked for. It was quite flat and had to iterate a few times till I got the end product. But this is all. So this is a water cycle.
I
Still
love
needs
it.
It's pretty cool for children to have a look at as well. It still needs a bit more um adapt adapting. But when I first this is all, by the way, this is all Replit assets. None of it is mine. It's previous ones I've put in my own assets, the skeleton and the human body and the plants. But this one is all Replit. I did get it to change some trees and the mountain shapes I didn't like initially. Um but it's more of a 3D simulation to more interactive for children. They find these kind of things a lot more enjoyable.
Oh
So
yeah.
if you click on these labels, it just tells you a little bit about it. Again, something children can interact with themselves. It helps them learn so much more better when they're interacting.
This is so cool. I mean, I'm amazed. I didn't know that you could do 3D assets with Replit. Like you just told it.
I
How did you
didn't.
prompt it? Yeah, I because I do my
Yeah.
3D assets outside of Replit, and then I
Hmm.
bring them in. Uh, and I actually use something called Meshy, which has that AI 3D asset creator, and then you can
Hmm.
also rig it for animations because I like my characters to move in certain ways and things like that. And I've played with Blender and all that. And so I guess this
Yeah.
is just fascinating to me that you can just do that in here. What is this? A
Yeah, this
circuit.
is a circuit board. Yeah, just a basic one, more for primary school children. But this was also this was 2D, and then I said, can you make it a 3D simulation instead? And it did that. So, and then turn the switch on.
You are so cool for even thinking of this, honestly, because I think sometimes we limit what's possible in our own heads. Like in my head, I just assumed I can't do this, right? I was like, this is really
Yeah.
advanced technology, but like the fact that you tried it and made it work is just astounding.
And you know what's cool? And there's another one, the Earth and Space one. And this again took a bit more explanation to the agent. I said I wanted a 3D simulation of the solar system, and it was quite simple when it made it, but then I iterated and got it changed to specifically how I wanted it.
Hmm.
I said to make it more detailed, and so
Wow.
with all the planets, this is just keeping it. And when you click on the planet, this keeps it simple enough for the children in my class according to their education levels. So it gives you a bit of information about each planet.
Is it
And it's
like
just
sorry, I've got so many
go on,
questions. I was like, is
go
it
on.
moving according to like its speed in the orbit? Because I noticed they're all moving at different paces.
Yes. So the closer they are to the sun, the faster they move. Their orbit speed is a lot more quicker. So yeah, it is. If you take a look, this one is moving a lot more slower than this one. That's Mercury and that's Neptune.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, but and all these details on the planets were not there before. They were just balls, and I asked the agent to make it a bit more detailed and a bit more realistic as possible. And then it changed it to this. I mean, it was these lines around here, you couldn't see them before either. So a bit more iterating, and then it built something a lot more specific. And I did say when I was writing my prompting, I did say I want something that's UK national curriculum, what they need to learn at that age, and
Hmm.
it made it exactly and add in the right information.
Do you ever take other assets? So I know you do like the visual assets and all of that, but do you ever take like educational materials and upload it into Replit and say make it based on this, or is it that Replit just knows where to pull it from?
I think most of the time Replit knows where to pull it from, but if you want something really specific, you have to tell it. So I did my SATs app, um, um, and I wanted specific kind of questions which it couldn't really pick up. I wanted questions that had previously been in previous past papers for the
Mhm.
test, and it wasn't really specific to what I wanted, so I had to take some screenshots and send it to it, which is really easy to do. Just find what you want, give it a screenshot, and it'll make similar questions or similar image to what you provide.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. Well, I think one of the things that really stands out to me is how you can just upload any kind of, I've put in like Excel sheets, I've put in like chapters that I've written or whatever it is, materials and say, base what you're creating off of this. Of course, whenever you're using somebody else's information, you've got to worry about copyright and all of that. So that's just a
Mm-hmm.
disclaimer. But if it's something you've created, um, go ahead and stick it in Replit in whatever file format it accepts, which I haven't run into an issue with it accepting file formats that I've
Mm-hmm.
uploaded. And then, it will read it intelligently and use it within what you create. So that's really cool that, you've done that.
Yeah. I don't know why it's taking so long. It did not take this long to create my initial region editor, and I don't know where the skeleton region editor is gone.
Mm.
So we can just take a look at, should we do this one? Let's take a look at this one. So there's three different ways it's created me the region editor each time. So with the plant, I had to highlight with a circular tool each labeled part. And then it was different for this one as well. And then for this one, I could just click and drag in this region editor. These are all different separate assets anyway. That's probably why. I can click and
Oh,
drag, and you
okay.
can see here on the left over here, um, the position of the asset. So I'll just place it wherever I want. Let's place it here. And it will change wherever you want to keep your assets.
And then you just copy the placement code and you put it into Agent, right?
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, that's so cool.
So
I
I'm not going to do it all specifically, but then, yeah, you copy placement code, paste it, give it to the agent, and it'll just apply it into your web page. And then you just back to canvas. Yeah, I don't know where the skeleton one has gone.
Either way, it's really cool. I'd love to see you make
Mhm.
something as well. Um,
Okay,
I don't
so
want to put you on
let's
the spot, but I'd love to see something 3D. I'm very
maybe
into
we
that.
can, instead of building from scratch, maybe we can add something to this site.
Okay.
What do you think? I just think
Yeah, if you have an
building
idea.
from scratch, I don't know what I'd do.
Yeah, yeah. If you have an idea or just something that I would just love to watch and like hear you talk through your thinking.
Okay, so
Um,
I'm gonna stop it creating the skeleton region editor because I don't know what's happening there. It
yeah.
doesn't usually do that. Probably because I had it and then I've got rid of it again.
Hmm.
Okay, do you have any ideas?
Oh gosh.
It
Okay.
doesn't have to be
I loved your
science.
water cycle. Something,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously you've done something so beautiful here already, but I would love to see you make something 3D like that because even like I'm looking at your rain falling, I'm like, how did you get the rain to fall? This is amazing.
I
Um,
literally just told agent to do that.
that's crazy because
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was that easy and I'm a very regular user of Replit and I've done 3D, but I didn't know that there's that level of independence that Replit can do, that Agent can do with 3D
Mhm.
assets and the motions and animations and all that. Um, I'm curious, is there something, let's see, is there something that you're teaching right now that would be
Let's see.
well
Plants
represented?
already did it.
You did plans. Let me think of because
Yeah.
a lot of what I do
Maybe
is
we
learning
can,
based.
maybe on this water cycle, we can take a look at what, if it makes a region editor for this one, maybe we can move around these arrows, but you know how let the mountains go off the edge.
Hmm.
Let's see if I can have a region editor. Can you make me a region Region editor for the water cycle. I'm not great at typing this high.
You know what I'm thinking about? I have a tool within one of my apps where students label the parts of their hearing aid. And right now it's
Oh.
a 2D, it's so simple. It's a 2D picture.
Mm-hmm.
Full disclosure, I didn't make it on Replit originally, but now I've moved it to Replit. And so
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking, okay, I can upgrade this by making it 3D and having, them label a 3D thing. Have you done 3D labeling, or is this just interactive in that you can click on it?
No, I haven't done 3D labeling. I've just done where it gives you the information, but that's such a good idea. That's like more interactive for children, like a game to play for them.
Yeah, yeah. So I was
That'd be
thinking I would do that.
interesting.
I'd probably do hearing the ear anatomy as well as something that I teach students. I teach them how to read
Mm-hmm.
their audiograms and their hearing charts and things like that. So as a teacher of the deaf, I mean, it's kind of the possibilities are endless. And what's so great is I teach remotely. And a lot of when I was in person, I would have the physical thing, like I would have a model of the ear and say, okay, touch this. So now what I'm able to do is I can take use the 3D model within the app and have them interact with it that way
Wow.
instead of having something.
That's-
So this is, I mean, the
Yeah, that's really
possibilities
cool.
almost, yeah, it feels limitless.
Yeah. Um, Again, when it's interactive for them, they're more engaged. That's how they learn best. I mean, engagement is key.
Yes.
So,
And the different ways that they learn, right? There's so many different ways to
mm-hmm,
learn. And if you can add, I was thinking, just looking at what you've created, one way that I think that you could add a layer of accessibility to what you've made is
mm-hmm.
um, you've got these amazing descriptions, whether it's the planets or whether it's, the water cycle, the different parts of it. You could just add a quick voiceover, right? And
Yeah.
the integration is so easy with something like Replit. I love Speechify. I use my own voice
Mm-hmm.
sometimes and things like that. But I've also seen that Replit users use 11 Labs. And
11's Lab. I use
yeah,
11 Labs. It's really good.
yeah,
I
there's
used it
a lot of
recently on
cool
another
stuff.
app,
Hmm.
and it's quite easy to integrate as well. You just need to put your API key into Replit, and then it will uh, pick voices from there, or you can choose which voices you want it to use,
Hmm.
and what you want it to say. And it's quite easy to use in here.
Your water looks like it's like evaporating in this model. It's so
Yeah.
cool. I can't believe it.
Yeah, but I don't like how there's two arrows going here. That can confuse them. So that's
Yeah.
something I need to fix as well.
So is that something you can fix in front of us? Like I'd love to see you make that change.
Okay, let's see. Let's retreat because it doesn't seem like it's making any region editors today. I'll just open a new task. So this is something that you can do on Replit is you can create a new task. You can have about on this pro, I'm on the pro model, so you can have about a pro plan, sorry. You can have about 10 tasks working at once.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So did we say the water cycle? Yeah. Okay. Do you ever speak to your agent and instead of typing?
I've tried it once or twice, and I know some people love that. I think I've seen some people like within Replit who use that a lot. And I've also had some friends who use it. I personally like to write. I prefer writing it out, but I'm not
Yeah.
against it. Do you?
I do, and I'm really when my hand really hurts.
Yeah.
But no, most of the time I type.
Yeah, yeah. I prefer the typing. I just think I process that way. But again, that's a layer of accessibility. I'm always looking at it through that lens, and I'm like, it's just so awesome that you can just talk to it. I do not Replit as much, but other AI tools that I use, I have many times just spoken into it.
Mm. Okay, the water cycle has two arrows showing evaporation. Just make this one. Okay. First it'll plan it out and then build.
I love how it
Let's see
plans
my
automatically first. I think that's a major key that I
yeah.
learned probably a little too late. I think initially when I started building on Replit, I was just going straight into build when I was new, and I
Mm.
was like, oh, and then I was trying to make changes, and I'm like, oh, the plan is so good. Like I should really just plan and then read the plan and then make sure it's right. And that will,
Yeah.
I think that saves credits also.
Yeah. A lot of credits. I used to do that too. I would just straight build and then I realized that when you plan it, it'll give you its task, what it's going to do. And if you're not happy with what it's going to do, then you can change it before it starts building it. But
Hmm.
yeah, when it builds it and then you have to change it again from scratch, it does cost a lot more credits.
It's also a little more frustrating, right? Because what could be you fixing a line in the plan now becomes you trying to move backwards from something that's already built out. So,
Yeah, changing the whole thing. And sometimes I get worried that it's going to something, break something in the code and then not work at all
yeah,
because I've built something so deeply and then I've had to change it again.
right.
Okay. Ah,
Oh,
that's not, that's something else.
so it made it 2D.
Huh. Drag, draw to drag, drag to draw its zone. Evaporation. This is the water cycle region. Okay, that's evaporation, condensation. Maybe this is his 2D version. Okay,
Yeah,
let's
it
play
could
around
be.
with it and see.
Let's see.
Okay, so click
I
on
think one
preview.
important lesson is also not being afraid to try something, and if it doesn't work, just try it again. You don't have to get it right the first time. So I mean, this does seem like it's a 2D version of your model, and maybe that's how it's made it for you to edit.
Probably, yeah. Interesting. Okay, precipitation, condensation, evaporation. So evaporation. Huh. Oh, no, this is not what I want. It's making me highlight where evaporation is. Should I do that? Should we just let's just try.
This is all new to me, so.
I mean, I understand when it made me highlight the zones for the plants.
Hmm.
Not quite sure how it's going to work for this one. Condensation. Let's do precipitation. Okay. Condensation. Wait, my mind's gone blank. It's condensation.
I haven't taught water cycling.
Collection.
I think people don't realize when you're a teacher, there's so much reviewing of material because you're expected to know the most random things, especially in primary. I think, when you're teaching older kids, you can stick to your subject. But the amount of stuff, like I know about the solar system, for example, when I taught sixth grade, it's, I don't remember the water cycle though.
Well, I thought I did. I've forgotten condensation.
Mhm.
Condensation is when it's
It's like what happens on a glass, right? When the steam turns into droplets.
yeah, I know what condensation is. Just remember where it is in the water cycle.
Oh, I can't help you with
This
that.
is after a long, hot day in school.
Yeah.
This is what happens.
And for context, it's nighttime for you working out the time zone differences. You've been very flexible, staying up late.
Okay, so there's a bar here as well where you can rotate your highlighted zone. Okay, let's copy. And it's still working on something. Okay, copy the code, paste it here. Just gonna stop that because we've got our. Let's see what it comes up with. Ah, here is the skeleton region editor. Is this a region editor? No, it's not. That's the
Oh.
preview. This finally opened. I don't know where this had disappeared to, but yeah, this was. Could just
Hmm.
click like this. Again, it's circular and I think it's changed because before it's more rectangular. A rectangle tool you could select with, and it did not have this
Oh,
before, but
interesting.
I guess it changed. Okay, anyway, we'll leave that one alone. Come back to this one and see what it comes up with.
Yeah, I'm so curious to see if they make that because it's a water cycle region editor. I'm curious if it's going to make it 3D or like
Mm-hmm.
if it just ask it.
So I'm assuming it's going to apply it here. So just zooming out, this is the canvas. These are different region editors that I've got for this one website.
Hmm.
I
That's
think it's
awesome.
replaced my skeleton region editor with, it's replaced my human organs one with this skeleton region editor. I think that's what happened to it. And I think that's where the skeleton region editor went initially. It was replaced by another one.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm so curious now. I've got so many ideas about things I could build.
Maybe I will put in some videos of how I made my region editors, because I screen recorded what I did initially. It's
Hmm.
just it doesn't seem to be working out this time.
Wait, is that one arrow now?
Where is it?
You're the 3D.
Oh, is it? Let's see. No,
I don't
it's
see the
still
same.
the
Oh, I see the
same two
same one. Okay.
arrows. Yeah,
Dang.
there's a gray one. I think the gray one is showing condensation,
Okay, yeah, it's labeled.
and that could be showing evaporation. I think that's what it was.
Okay, I see.
Yeah, that's what it is. But I don't like how they're both going from the same area, because then it could get confusing for children.
I wonder if you could tell it to separate the arrows, like make them two different ones or
Yes, we could do that.
yeah. I do think that that's where like constructing the prompt can be a little bit helpful is when you
Mm-hmm.
really think about how it's going to understand you, right? Like when we teach kids we have to simplify the language, so maybe we have to do that with Replit sometimes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where we really
Yeah.
describe it.
I think it helps knowing some of the technical language as well, but
Mhm.
as teachers, we don't really know much of that technical language. I don't anyway.
Well, yeah, you learn as you go, right? Like a couple of months ago, I didn't know what like properly how to properly use an API or what it meant when it would tell me to store secrets or things like that. And now I'm like, oh, okay. You
Yeah.
kind of just learn through exposure.
So I'm just telling it that in the water cycle, the condensation arrow and the evaporation arrow overlap. Can you separate these? And I always, when I'm typing really quick, there's always so many spelling errors. I don't know if you've experienced that, but there's so many spelling errors which it doesn't pick up on. So that's great. It doesn't correct me.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
let's
send it spelling errors all the time. I was showing someone asked me for a prompt for something that I built. I built a customer management system behind the scenes yesterday, and someone was like, "What was the prompt that you used?" And I was so embarrassed to share it because
yeah.
of how many typos I had, but I was like, "But it built me what I wanted." So it
Yeah.
worked.
I
Yeah.
sometimes avoid having my, when I'm doing the screen recording, I avoid having my my prompts displayed on the
Oh
side,
yeah.
because I don't want people to see what I've been saying.
Yeah,
Because
my
it's just
space
such
bar was
informal
broken.
language, but the
Yeah.
agent knows what you're saying. So
Yeah,
it's
my
really cool.
space bar was broken for a little bit, so all my words are running together. And, I mean, Replit understood. So fascinating. I'm so
Okay.
curious about how that turns out with the water cycle.
It is taking longer than expected, and it could be because of my internet connection, but we'll just see
Mhm.
what it does with the arrows, separating the arrows.
One thing I've done, I want to talk a little bit about creating 3D assets real quick, is I've taken images that are AI generated, whether I use like Gemini or Claude. I don't really use Claude for image generation, but like ChatGPT has good image generation now. I'll take
Mm-hmm.
that and then I will put it into Meshy. Or I
Mm-hmm.
actually really loved what Gemini created for me because if I was making a 3D model, it would show me the different sides of it. And you can use that with Meshy AI, and then I would export that model
Mm-hmm.
and put it in. I've used it for augmented reality simulations and things like that as well. And it's just so cool what you can do with that. And I'm curious if that's something that Replit's eventually going to add is enhancing its AI model for 3D asset generation, or if we're always going to have to do
Yeah.
it internally. I think there's a lot of room there for it to grow, but it also, I mean, it did pretty well here. If this is what it generated for you as far as rain and the cloud and all that, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, but initially when I first gave this the prompt for this, it was the mountains were just circular round. They were
Yeah.
oval balls. So I had to send it an image. Again, still not exactly what I wanted, but it did better than what it was initially. But
Mhm.
yeah, I'm hoping they can work on that, the 3D assets perspective, because there is a lot of people who create 3D games as well.
Yeah.
They probably do, and we probably don't know. Well, that's through the prompts, it didn't really give me more than this. I think that's another thing as well. We can provide it with 3D assets.
Mhm.
There's 3D assets website called Sketch something.
Sketchfab.
Sketchfab, that's the one.
Yes.
People,
That's what I
I
used to do.
tried it out. It's pretty cool. People download assets from there,
Yeah.
and put it into Replit. So the region editor isn't working today. I don't know why. We did have a bit of a preview on it. We took a look at what it can do, which is pretty cool. So you can use your 2D and 3D assets into Replit and then highlight the different zones, make it more specific for your learning, for children's learning. And it has changed the arrow where the arrow is here.
Oh, good.
But I think we should do, maybe I could do like a pre-recording of, and I do have pre-recordings of what I did previously, but maybe we could do another pre-recording of it from scratch, and then share that. See.
Yeah, I would love that. We can also
So
add as a bonus for our episode. If you go to our website, classroomtocode.com, we have every episode has its own page. And so we can
Mhm.
upload some bonus videos, or if you have questions, please send them to us at Classroom to Code. We have a little area for you to contact us as well. And let us know, if you're watching on YouTube, in the comments, if you have questions or something you'd like to see, and we'd be happy to record that for you as well.
Yeah. We will add a few snippets of my pre-records as well, so you can
Hmm.
take a look in more detail of how it was done. But basically, interactive web tool for children, and that can be used in your classroom and outside of your classroom. Um, Pretty cool things that you can make
It's
on
awesome.
Replit.
Have you tried this with
Yeah.
students yet or not yet?
I showed them today and they were like, wow. But I haven't used it in a lesson just yet, just because it is the end of the year. So I am going to give it a go starting September next year, new topics.
Oh yeah, and I think that's definitely something we should talk about is, what it's like when we create and we get to use it with our own students. I have an interactive globe that I put on my new geography app, and today I used it with one of the students that I'm teaching for summer school, and he was spinning it and clicking countries and the map and all
Yeah.
that, and it's just so powerful when you create something and it's not just theory, you get to apply it and watch the learning happen in real time, and I think that's the beauty of teachers creating educational technology themselves is we really
Hmm.
know what a lot of these big companies might not know about on the ground, and application of learning and seeing it work in real time and then being able to make the improvements in real time too is very powerful.
Yeah. And I often do say as well, the, the, it's not the curriculum really, but the tools that we are provided as teachers, they're not always made by a teacher. So they
Hmm.
don't always work how you want them to. This is why it's so great to be able to build something on Replit by yourself that you can use in your own classrooms, specifically to your classroom or your curriculum or the way your school teaches. So yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that's a huge gap. And when I interviewed people for my research, it was something that kept coming up is that the people who are making the tools are not teachers, and it's obvious because adoption becomes so hard, or like you're accidentally adding to the workload of the teacher by making more friction in whatever the tool is that we're supposed to adopt. And we go to these trainings, and they're for saying we're adopting technology that's supposed to help us, they're actually adding to the burnout and the workload that teachers have. So teacher created tools, I think, are much less likely to do that, because
Yeah,
we know the reality on the ground. We know what it looks like to have a student who's waiting for something to fire up, or like for there to be an error in loading, and we kind of design to minimize friction by default. That's part of how we design instruction. So it's how
yeah.
we design apps too. But I want to thank you for showing us today. I mean, I learned something new, and
So cool. Yeah.
I'm such a user of Canva and Replit and all the tools, and it's awesome to see you creating that, and that just as a teacher with no tech background, you're able to do such advanced things that we could have only like dreamt of a couple of years ago.
Yeah. And I didn't even know that it was something called a region editor. I just said I wanted it to label things, highlight areas that I wanted labeled specifically, and it just made me this region editor. So I feels like Replit is like can come up with all kinds of things for you
Yeah.
specifically to customize your website or your app exactly how you want it.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. It's fascinating, but that's awesome. Once you have your demos, we'll put them on the website as well. So please check out classroom to the number two code.com. That's where you can see all our previous episodes. We're also on Spotify and YouTube, whatever you prefer. But definitely check out show notes and transcripts and the episode pages for more information on the things we discuss. All right.
Thank you guys. Thanks for tuning in.